Thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We will start the presentation in approximately 1 minute. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar to accelerate speed to market and transform your business and customer experiences with machine learning and artificial intelligence. My name is Antonio Alvarez. I'm the head of artificial intelligence and machine learning in EMEA. I'm very happy to be with you here today. I work for AWS and will be your host and moderator in today's presentation. When you joined today's webinar, you selected to join either by phone or your computer. If you have any reasons you should like to change the audio selection, please do so by accessing the panel. From this control panel, you can also have the opportunity to submit questions. So please go ahead and throughout the presentation, type your questions. We will try to do our best to actually answer as many as possible at the end of the session. Also, at the end of the event, there is a brief survey. We would really appreciate if you actually stay connected until the end and you actually submit your feedback and opinions. They are very important to us. Last but not least, the presentation will be actually shared by SlideShare together with the recording. You will get an email in 2 to 3 days after the event. Please keep an eye out and follow up with the follow-up emails that we will send to you. So again, welcome to today's webinar on how to accelerate speed to market and create new business transformation and customer experiences by using machine learning and artificial intelligence. As I said before, my name is Antonio Alvarez. I'm part of the EMEA BD organization looking after machine learning and artificial intelligence. Today we'll actually learn on how AWS can help you with technologies and know-how, and as well as how Inawisdom is actually our partner today in the session, is actually helping customers like Aramex to realize that transformation, to take projects ahead and be successful in the implementation of machine learning, and how Aramex is actually taking advantage already of machine learning to make a deep impact business transformation into the business models. This is the agenda for today. So we will talk about the machine learning capabilities from AWS. We'll actually understand the differentiation by Inawisdom, how do they differentiate and how to actually use data to differentiate in any marketplace. And then we will go through the Aramex case study. And at the end of the session, we will go through a Q&A and next steps. So today, many customers are going through what is being called digital transformation. We've seen a lot of reports from IDC and different firms actually sharing insight on how machine learning is of paramount importance to actually realize that digital transformation. But what is really important is to see when we talk to customers that in any business initiative, the usage of these new technologies, such as machine learning, artificial intelligence solutions, are actually super important to actually realize the benefits, the business benefits through the technology. If we do not realize those business benefits, with the technologies, then we are not really transforming our business. We are just using technologies. It is really powerful to see how customers like Aramex are using us today. If you ask me a simple rule to decide how you should select use cases, which is a very important area that you need to take into account, what are the right use cases in which you need to start your journey with machine learning, I would say start by finding use cases that automate whatever you're doing today. Can you find an automated process in which you can add an automated model or solution that actually automates that service, and therefore you actually bring value, reduce cost, and make your company more agile? Then followed by finding new customer experiences. Find ways in which you can actually increase satisfaction, create new customer experiences, and ways to communicate to actually engage with customers, extending, enhancing the value to what you do today, for example. Then last but not least, then try to find, when you innovate with machine learning in the cloud, try to find new innovation points, try to find new areas in which you can really innovate and discover maybe new business models, solutions, and use cases. And that should be actually a priority list that will help you being more successful. For example, when we talk about customer experiences, we can find customers like Domino's Pizza that is actually using our machine learning services, AI services like Personalize, to actually create a better customer experience when creating recommendations. By using a service that has been trained already on the data, they're actually able to scale in the recommendation campaigns, in the marketing campaigns, to have a more accurate recommendation experience to customers. And that's super important because the customer will have better satisfaction and have more loyalty to whatever campaign and company they're working with. So that is actually an area in which you should look into to find use cases. Secondly, try to find business operations. There are many companies actually automating many processes. There are companies that are actually doing predictive maintenance. Therefore, when there is in a factory, in a vehicle, in any machinery, there is something that is about to break, by using machine learning, by learning from data, they can actually anticipate that, actually resolve those problems, anticipate that something is going to break by sending the right engineers at the right time, and therefore by not having downtime in any of the business processes. Decision making. Many customers are seeing machine learning not as a substitution of what the employees are doing, but also as an enhancement. How can you use machine learning to actually bubble up insight, get insight of data that otherwise would be super difficult to do, because you would need everyone to be trained on how to analyze data, do reports, drill down, and so forth and so on. How can you actually use machine learning models to tell you actually correlations, anomaly detections? Actually, based on that insight, your employees are empowered to actually make more powerful decisions. They might make the final decision, but based on actually insight, based on different data points, on amount of data that before was impossible to actually analyze. Innovation. Start in any labs, any innovation programs that you have, you should embed machine learning. Whenever you try a new idea, a new project, a new program, always try to embed machine learning into that. That will actually give you an edge and give you an opportunity to find new ways to actually take advantage of that initiative, to get more competitive in the marketplace and get an advantage in a very competitive market arena. Also, piece of advice, you shouldn't wait until your competitors are actually doing that already, because otherwise it's too late. That's why machine learning in the cloud in a very agile manner can really help you discovering those new business ideas and products that you would like to actually put in the hands of your customers. And what is the mission of AWS? So we have thousands of customers that are using machine learning. Capital One, Domino's, T-Mobile, and so forth and so on. They're actually customers that today are using machine learning in production. And there are different reasons why they're doing that today. And our mission as a vendor is to provide the best capabilities you need, the best capability we can provide for your needs in order for you to be successful. So when you actually try to adopt a machine learning strategy, one of the things that you need to actually take into account is what is going to be your strategy. Your strategy might be a hybrid strategy in terms of you have a data scientist team and you want to empower them with the best platform based on your data and based on their experience to actually create those models that actually satisfy your needs. But also, you should take into account the AI solutions that we are providing to you. Things like personalize for recommendations, or forecast to do demand forecasting, or poly, text to voice, or comprehend to do sentiment analysis. And the combination of all those technologies, the ones that you will use to create your unique model, plus the ones that will actually give you value straight away in a simpler manner, can be very powerful because you will use the right tool for the right job. And that's what we're trying to accomplish by having a very broad and very deep machine learning platform. So we have a platform called SageMaker, Amazon SageMaker, which is the only platform that is actually focusing on increasing the agility and the productivity of data scientists. So you stop actually managing infrastructure, you stop actually doing the heavy lifting, and you focus on time to value of the models and the quality of those models. But also we are bringing to you AI services, like I said, personalized for recommendations or text track for document management. And that is not possible to do in any other platforms. So we are providing you with the best features and the best technologies. When it comes to the data platform, to the machine learning platform, to Amazon SageMaker, the value is very, very clear. We actually reduce when you need to actually label data, which is a heavy lifting task that you need to do as a data scientist. That might be 80% of your time. We actually can reduce by automating many of those processes, and by using our technology, we can reduce the data labeling cost by 70%. If you are using the algorithms that are actually embedded into the platform for clustering and so forth, you actually benefit from a better performance, and that actually can give you 10 times faster performance on using those algorithms. That reflects as well on cost. If you actually have a model that is taking less time to be trained, you're going to pay less money when training the model, but also you're going to be more agile when training model on time to value and see results. Also, the inference, when you put that model into production, SageMaker allows you to actually manage the API, the endpoint of that inference, and it can manage that inference point elastically. We can also help you reducing money by actually deploying or hosting the endpoint of your machine learning model. Besides that, in training mode, we can also help you reducing up to 90% by using our technologies of the training cost. And many of those points plus others are the reason why many customers are standardizing today on SageMaker rather than doing that themselves on compute capacity. Last but not least, you need to take into account that these capabilities, products and services are actually based on a very robust, secure, mature platform that will not only give you the best performance in terms of GPUs and CPUs, not only is going to give you the best security, certificates, accreditations, and so forth, but also can help you by building complete solutions, by adding databases, by adding serverless technologies, by adding security, by adding mobile capabilities. So think about not only the machine learning capabilities we provide to you, but everything else about the performance, the security, and the rich capability we actually provide you in managed services with the platform. With that said, I would like to actually hand it over to Neil Miles, CEO of Inawisdom, who will actually describe how they've been helping Aramex and other company to take advantage of data and how to realize business benefits from that. Thank you, Neil.
Hi, everybody. Very pleased to be on this webinar with you today. I'm Neil Miles. I'm, as you say, CEO and co-founder of Inawisdom. And I'm great to be joined with such great partners such as Antonio from AWS, but also I'll be shortly introducing Mohammed Sleep from Aramex, the Chief Digital Officer. As it says there, Inawisdom was formed with a very simple goal, and that goal is there really to help our customers market differentiate and drive speed to market. And what I'd like to do in the next few moments is share some perspectives and market trends that we see, but also set the context for what is that great customer story and Aramex. And I look forward so much to hearing from Mohammed. I will pick up on some of the key success factors that we see and are important to accelerate adoption. We'll also talk about the business opportunity itself and the adoption cycles. And that's really the next few moments. So just like to, first of all, talk a little bit about the success factors. Next slide. Thank you. So in terms of the success factors, there's really 4 key success factors that we're aligned to and we think are really important to drive the acceleration. The first one is clearly to have expertise and focus on the subject matter, understanding not just the latest AI and ML machine learning techniques, but also understanding all of the component parts that are important for this specialist area. So focus and expertise is key in terms of success for moving forward. I think you've probably heard from Antonio. For me, it goes without saying, being cloud native is so important for this journey. Using the power, scale, and economics of the cloud is simply a ticket to the game, and without which, clearly, I don't believe acceleration of AI adoption is possible. The third area that's important is working with the right partners. Inawisdom decided from day one to be an all-in AWS partner. And why did we do that? We did that because we see AWS having the best set of capabilities, not just today, but also tomorrow and the day, next day and the day after. So the opportunity to innovate with AWS is immense. And being a machine learning competency partner allows us to see these new services, some of the services that Antonio just previously mentioned in terms of personalized and forecast, but actually to see these services as they're being formed in preview, provide feedback, and be able to help and shape and inform what is best for our customers. So very proud to have this close relationship with AWS, and it's important from our perspective to help our customers from a technical and commercial perspective. Probably most importantly of all, in terms of accelerating adoption, as Andy Jassy said, there is no compression algorithm for experience. A lot of people are talking about AI and ML, about how many are realizing the benefits, such as Aramex are today. So we have many years in discovering the value that can be derived from using your data assets and implementing those into the business operations. And looking at that across a number of different business sectors, customers, and also different use cases really is a valuable perspective. So I think these 4 ingredients are key to the acceleration and adoption of machine learning and artificial intelligence. In terms of how to frame the opportunity is immense. And if we have so many people on the call today, so clearly it's a very popular subject. But if you don't think so, then certainly your competitors do so, as Antonio referred to earlier, because it's those small percentage points of differentiation that make all the difference. And it's really important that we understand what the business opportunity is. As was said earlier, let's not talk about technology, let's talk about the business opportunity, let's talk about the business outcome, putting that first. In our experience over the last few years, we see four top line and 4 bottom line, i.e. 8 categories of use cases being focused upon. And it's really important when we think about a business, how we look at revenue generation or actually revenue retention, but also where we can optimize from a cost perspective and what are the areas where we can move forward. And I think some of the case studies have already been discussed, but I think it's really important when you think about top line that you think about sales conversion, propensity to buy and retention, or they're all affecting the top line performance. And that's very much, as you would expect, being seen in traditional online retailers. But interestingly, we see significant adoption across all products and services. So energy, retail, finance, and banking products. So we see a lot of customers focusing on that top line performance. From a cost optimization perspective, again, we see engineering and production and logistics organizations thinking about preventative maintenance use cases, focusing on their supply chain and supply chain optimization, material forecasting, etc. But also regulatory and compliance is really, really important. Looking at fraud and regulatory issues are certainly some of the early use cases that we saw, certainly in the finance sector, and when we think about anti-money laundering. But that's becoming more widely focused as we look at the increasing performance of speech to text and we start thinking about compliance from a contact center perspective. So we see these 8 use case categories very much being a place to start and where we see customers focusing, but it's also becoming much more sophisticated. We see an increasing focus on hyper personalization, and as we'll hear from Aramex, and I'm not going to take Mohammed's thunder here, but they're providing such a great experience for their customer, which is both revenue impacting but also cost optimization is in there as well. So we'll be talking about that shortly. In terms of, well, what are the phases of AI and ML adoption and how can we accelerate these? Well, if we start with the first phase, discover data insight. This is typically where obviously all customers start. It is a crucial phase. You don't know what you don't know until you discover that value, and it's really important that you go through that in a very rapid and low cost way. I'm very much thinking about discover first and then invest. Now that is a key phase. Most people started there 2 years ago, and it's still key today because you can't stand still. Once you've discovered and proved value and insight from a use case and productionized it, you need to be thinking about next and where else you can move forward to differentiate in the market. The next 2 phases, productionization and operationalization, are absolutely key and very much at the front of many people's minds at the moment. So being able to embed the new service into the business and technical operation, enabling both technical and businesses to use the insights and discoveries that you're finding is absolutely key. And obviously taking those early value use cases and driving them into production is really important, accelerating that. I think the operationalization is certainly a phase that certainly needs to be thought about quite early on, because it's very important to make sure that it is automated, it is embedded and enabled in the organization, because unfortunately the environment is changing around you, your data is changing around you. And as a phrase we often use here in Inawisdom is that a machine learning model is not just for Christmas. It does need to be looked after, it needs to be thought about. And once you've mastered these 3 phases, then the ability to repeat and accelerate across many use cases keeps that innovation and market differentiation. And that's so important. And when we hear from Mohammed, we'll hear about the 11 different use cases that are already underway. And we see that happening in many other customers where multiple use cases have been identified and focused upon. And in terms of the skills that you need, it is really important to think about the full stack of capability. And that's a phrase we often use. And it's not just about data science. And clearly, a data scientist is not going to add much value without data. And that's really important that we understand the data engineering and the platform skills and the underpinning capability of the cloud platform you're working upon. In terms of operationalization, DevOps and data ops is really, really key. We have accelerators and proven methods that really allow you to drive that through, and it's really, really important you think about it. But one thing I would like to flag, and I think it was mentioned certainly earlier in the conversation, and I think it's evidence from the Aramex experience, that the data platform is a key driver for a data-driven strategy, and that's particularly critical for established businesses with established IT estates such as Aramex, and it enables that digital transformation to happen across the enterprise. So, just to conclude, I think one of the great things about working in partnership with AWS and Aramex has been how we've created a long-term relationship here. And I think that's come from 2 things. Number one, from day one, understanding that strategy and goal, making sure we're aware of that digital transformation importance to Aramex. But also we were able to focus on what's important to the business today and show some agility and focus on delivering some value in the business with our transit time, helping Sleek and the team get transit time prediction into production at a very early stage was so important. And it's also important to work closely and collaborate with the teams, identifying and working with on new use cases, but also building out the skills and processes, really helping to guide the way through those 4 phases of AI adoption. And it's important that we focus on incrementally delivering a strategic platform, upskilling and focusing on the business outcomes, which really does deliver the successes needed, and that classic win-win. And I think that's why the partnership has worked so well from all people's perspective. So moving on, in terms of the opportunity to grasp clearly is immense and recognized by many thought leading organizations such as Aramex, but they also see and realize that the value is not in the models themselves, but the organization's ability to harness them. So I'm so pleased to be able to hand you over now to Mohammed Sleek, who's going to take you through the great digital transformation journey that Aramex is on and how they've grasped and accelerated the adoption of AI with the help of AWS and Inawisdom. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Antonio, for the introduction. Thank you, everyone, for joining as well. My name is Mohammed Sleek. I am the Chief Digital Officer for Aramex International. And over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about our digital transformation journey. And I thought it was very important I start with telling you a little bit about what we do as an organization and about our transformation strategy and how AWS and Inawisdom were introduced into the whole picture. So a little bit about Aramex. We are a transportation and logistics. We provide logistics services across 60 and where our products and services are scaling to all of these countries. We are a 40-year-old business, around 38 years old business. We have around 18,000 employees. And our services expand to around 69 countries, and these are some of the statistics that where Aramex operates. The company quickly grew into what it is today because we've always been a technology-driven organization over the last years. And if you can think of Aramex, you can think of us as the Uber of the transportation industry. When we started 38 years ago. So while all the traditional operators were investing in heavy assets, we decided that we will take the transportation industry in a kind of leased and variable model. So we rent space out of airlines, we lease our vehicles, and we operate a variable model. And our approach has been serving us really well. And just to give you a little bit of our numbers, we have been able to deliver almost in the last 12 months 105 million shipments to almost 37 million unique customers in the past 12 months, and out of which the contribution is 21 million of that, which is about 60% to B2C customers, to consignees, and 15 million of that is for B2B customers. And if you look at this percentage, the last 10 years or the last 7 years, that percentage has been completely different. So we've seen a massive shift in our business model, given the growth of the e-commerce industry. And we had to evolve as an organization from a B2B mindset company into a B2C fulfillment company. So when we say B2C, we're talking about our e-commerce. We effectively are becoming an e-commerce fulfillment company, while we continue to have these traditional services of freight forwarding and the normal B2B CEP business or courier business and domestic business. We've seen a major growth in the e-commerce numbers. So effectively, we connect markets, and we connect e-commerce markets out of China, out of the US, out of the UK and Europe into our part of the world, into the region. And when we say our region, it means the Middle East, Africa, where we have the biggest last mile infrastructure. So over the last 10 years, the company had to change the mindset. We had to evolve differently, and we have been trying very hard to be able to meet the demand and the surge of e-commerce, while we continue to ignite our B2B business model. So very quickly on the challenges that we face as an organization, we look at the logistics trends, and obviously Amazon is in this space. So Amazon is a pioneer in these in solving some of these challenges, and these are challenges that every single logistics operator out there is facing. One of them obviously is the trends, the growth of the e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce business, and obviously some of the challenges there is the last mile capacity limitation and the volatility in the volumes that we see today. So if you are built for a capacity that would serve for a country like Saudi Arabia, for example, where you offer you have a last mile infrastructure that delivers around 60,000-70,000 shipments a day. Sometimes the growth numbers and the seasonality of the e-commerce business as a nature, in one day it might double. So how do you create more variable last mile infrastructure to meet these demands? And this continues to be one of the biggest challenges of the logistics industry. And obviously, the competition landscape has completely changed. When we used to only compete with the traditional operators, the likes of FedEx and the DHLs and the UPSs of the world, today there's a new breed of competition coming in with newer and fresher technologies, digital disruptors, digital operators that are coming in and changing the competition landscape. And we're also competing with our own customers as well, where we see a lot of investments in last mile distribution and last mile logistics arms being born by e-commerce companies themselves. And that's another breed of competition that we're dealing with. Obviously, growing customer expectations. Online shoppers are extremely different. It's been very. These customers are online shoppers. They're tech savvy. They are people who demand a superior customer experience compared to a typical B2B delivery. So it's a personalized delivery. It is a delivery that requires scheduling. It's a delivery that requires time definite delivery. So there is a need for faster delivery, and supply chain visibility is very important. So if someone shops online, they are actively asking for information about the whereabouts of their shipment. So that's a new, different mindset when it comes to dealing with these consumers and these customers that we fulfill for. Obviously, emerging last mile technologies is a new area that are becoming a reality. We see a lot of drone deliveries, a lot of companies that are challenging the autonomous vehicles and trying to build for last mile infrastructure using autonomous vehicles and autonomous things, if we put it this way. And obviously, the challenges there is the regulatory environment in different countries. But I tell you, I'm based in the UAE, and we believe that by end of 2020, we will see an Aramex drone or an Aramex autonomous vehicle that would deliver in the UAE, specifically in Dubai. But then there are tougher, I would say, geographies, like, for example, in India, in Egypt, where there is urban dense areas that will continue to be a challenge for us. And one of the unique things in our region as well is the lack of proper address management structure. So today we don't rely on zip codes. There is high dependency on descriptive addresses. So imagine on daily basis in our distribution centers, there's a lot of manually intensive processes to go through addresses to make sense of a descriptive address and kind of sort and zone and create run sheets for our last mile drivers. So a lack of proper address management is one of the biggest challenges that we see today. And obviously there's a lot of digitization, there's a lot of core modernization investments that we see. AI and machine learning is taking over, and we understand that this is something that a lot of companies are thinking about, and we have to do something about it as an organization. And some of the challenges there is the legacy mindset or the legacy landscape that a typical enterprise of our size and our age, I would say, would have. We have mindsets and operational processes that are purely built for B2B, so we have to spin off and We have to iterate faster in order for us to be able to digitize our core and evolve as an organization using these new technologies. So and this is the starting point, to be quite honest, for us for the partnership with AWS and Inawisdom. Innovation for us is really about solving problems and being a bit more efficient in conducting ourselves as a logistics operator. So this is where most of the analysis and most of the things that we see in our industry that is fueling a lot of the things that we're doing on AWS and on machine learning with the team. So we again, we evolved. We're a technology-driven organization, but what's really special about the last year, we've taken a conscious decision to go into a transformation journey and to unlock the growth potential of Aramex in the region. And we are undergoing a massive transformation program. These are some of the areas of focus for us. So we plan on digitizing the end-to-end customer journey and improving the customer experience, specifically the online shopper experience. We're trying to Uberize the experience, whereby when you order, if you think of it this way, if you order an Uber or a vehicle, people expect to see maps, people expect to see an expected time of delivery or expected time of the driver being available, and this works exactly the same when you're ordering a shipment. And we're trying to apply the same logic into the customer journey by trying to provide visibility and accuracy in the predictions when it comes to when the package will be delivered, where is the package today, and when do we expect to receive an update on the package. So we're trying to augment customer journey and the customer experience with these predictions, and the only way for us to do that is to use machine learning and AI capabilities. Last mile transformation, again, we talked about the challenges of address management, the challenges of reaching customers faster, optimizing our last mile operations, and transforming our last mile operations to fit for a B2C model, to fit for an e-commerce delivery versus a B2B delivery, where there's a lot of customer expectations there, and we're trying to autonomously control our last mile processes for us to become more efficient. Big data and machine learning is a big focus area for us. This is one of my favorite topics. Data has been hard for the company, for us. For the past 5 years, we've been trying to build our big data environment, let alone start our own machine learning models, because the advice here and the reasoning behind building a big data environment and a platform, similar to what Neil was saying, is the fact that machine learning use data as fuel. So you will not be able to work on machine learning algorithms if you don't have enough data that is transformed, that is containerized, that is in a form that can be used for a predictive model. So you're kind of shifting focus from the rear view of the data from a BI perspective into more predictive analytics and actually having the data to prescribe actions and actually take them on your behalf. And this is the power of having a big data environment and machine learning models that sits on top of that. Modernizing our core, again, we're trying to adopt a microservices architecture, and that's the only way to do that is to for us to iterate fast, is to do it on the cloud, which is another focused area for us. We want to move our enterprise from its current position into a cloud-enabled organization and free up our IT resources to innovate rather than maintain static data centers that make you heavy as an enterprise. Obviously, this is a big program moving into the cloud, but then an enterprise of our size, the only way for us to innovate is to transform and move as many workload processes from the current on-premise data centers into the cloud. And of course, having a core ERP tier 1 solution is another area that we're focusing on. And thankfully, we have a board that is enabling us, that believes in digital transformation, and it really starts there. If you have buy-in and belief in these technologies to really create business value and to drive your value proposition for your customers, this is the starting point. So these are kind of the focus areas for us. So I want to tell you next a little bit about our current size of the big data landscape that we've created with AWS, and Inawisdom helped us create it. So creating this data lake, this big data environment, was the first step for us, and we've been trying and failing for so long in the last, I would say, 5 years, but in 8 months we've been able, since the tie-up and since the partnership with AWS, which really started in December last year, we've been able to create one of the biggest data lakes in the region. We have 7.2 terabytes of data in our current environment. We've managed to create a data pipeline that ingests data, records of almost 1.5 million records every 15 minutes. So we believe to a large extent that our data lake is real time. So everything that happens in our traditional databases and all the records that we create in our on-premise environment today is moving to the cloud. And the number of deployed use cases, and when we say use cases, these are some of the problems that we're trying to solve with machine learning. And here, this is not really about the machine learning model itself. It's about the business value, the underlying business value that you're creating to create these opportunities, and hence fuel your machine learning models to solve these problems. So we currently have deployed 5 use cases, and we have around 6 use cases under development. And I'll touch a little bit upon how these models are transforming the Aramex business and how problems are being solved using data and becoming a data-driven organization using predictions and machine learning and AI capabilities. We currently make around 450,000 predictions per day. Every minute we're doing around 600 to 800 predictions in an average response time of 125 milliseconds. And this is the power of these technologies in performance and in creating value right at the edge. So these are some of the statistics that we have today, and I can tell you it's been only 8 months, and that's a great achievement from at least from my perspective, and it's something that we are very proud of. So moving on, and obviously we're very proud that in our part of the world we are one of the biggest machine learning companies in our region. We still need to catch up with what's really out there, but at least in our part of the world, we became the #1 machine learning in terms of number of predictions and the number of how big the data lake is, and that's something that we're very proud of. So this is some of the capabilities and some of the use cases that are transforming the organization. So I'm going to touch upon a few of them. So transit time, which is something that Neil has touched upon. Transit time is nothing but a prediction model that looks at the journey of or the life cycle of the shipment or the package or the e-commerce package, and gives information in real time to the customer. And obviously, when we looked at automating our processes and improving customer experience, which really goes hand in hand in this scenario, we looked at the reasons why people call us on the call centers. And what is the top question where customers have the need to contact our call center or to visit our portals or to look at the reasons why customers get in touch with Aramex in the call center. And it's really simple. It's really answering 2 questions. Where is my package and when is it going to be delivered? So we've augmented our digital touch points today and with transit time use cases or transit time prediction that will answer that question. Coupled with our tracking capability, real-time tracking capability, so we could potentially ask or answer the customer questions without really having to physically get in touch with the customer or physically the customer calling our call center. And we've been able to reduce our call center with this machine learning model that looks at a dynamic transit time prediction. We've been able to reduce our call center size from 1,000 call center agents across the network into almost 50% of that. So this is one of the value creation models that we've done using machine learning with that. And it's really coupled by augmenting the customer experience and with digital platforms, and obviously reducing and optimizing our operational costs, including the number of people in the call center organization. Route optimization again is a big area for us, with the big dependency on descriptive addresses. We have came up with a machine learning or generative machine learning algorithm that looks at the customer address and kind of matches the addresses that we have in our database and try to come up with the best address for the customer without really contacting the customer. So we have a text matching algorithm that looks at the address that is available, mentioned in the label, in the package label, and try to match that with previous addresses. And if you look at these numbers, 60% of our consumers are repetitive customers. So using machine learning, I'm able to guess that this address that is written in a specific way is matching the address that is successful that exists in my landscape for these at least repetitive customers. And we go even beyond that, and we say, if I have a geofence, if I have a heat map of all my deliveries that I've done in a specific area, I will also be able to guess and to estimate the geo-coordinate of a delivery for a new customer, but that new customer happens to have a delivery next to a customer that I know. So we've been using machine learning algorithms to automate the sortation in our distribution centers and to kind of come up with an XY coordinate without really contacting the customer, confirming the address, and reduce the number of bad addresses that we handle in our landscape, which will also help unlock the route optimization and efficiency within our distribution or ground operations architecture, and also help automatically sort shipments in different hubs, in different zones, without really having to touch the shipment in terms of or skilled employees that look at the address and read it and kind of sort it based on their understanding or their knowledge. So we're taking away from the manually intensive process within our distribution centers using machine learning and algorithms that kind of guesses the address and predicts the correct address. And obviously we've set up a data science team that, and we gave them this problem, and we gave them all the tools and the engineering capabilities that are offered by the AWS technology stack in order for us to solve for that problem. And just to explain a little bit about the Inawisdom relationship as well, we're a Microsoft shop company, and the capability of the team at that point of time was not up to par on the AWS technology. So we've augmented our team with Inawisdom's capability to set up this big data environment, to create the ingestion layers or the data engineering capabilities that was lacking in our organization, kind of augmented with partners who understand the industry, who listens to customer requirements and kind of innovate in a team-based environment. So again, a couple of other components, I won't touch on that, but then on consumer profiling is another area for us. So consumers and online shoppers are not the direct customers. So they are customers of our e-commerce company. So it's really the contractual relationship is with the likes of the Amazon, the ASOS of the world. So we contract with the e-tailers, and we fulfill for their consumers. So our consumers today are the customers of the e-commerce companies. So we had to deploy machine learning algorithms to know a little bit more about the preferences of our consumers. So if I am scheduling a delivery, or I'm guessing a delivery for a customer, I would like to know the historical preferences of the consumer to make his life easier. And that's how critical this requirement is to improve the consumer and the customer journey of the consumer. So if I am able to know that, for example, a customer or consumer A prefers his deliveries in home versus business delivery or his office delivery, I will be able to predict that using capabilities that are only offered by algorithms. So I'm able to profile my consumers in a way that guesses the last mile preferences or the time windows or the time frames of how they prefer to deliver, to increase my distribution or my delivery performance or delivery percentage. So after we deployed machine learning, we've seen significant improvement in our delivery performance. So if a shipment has been scheduled using an AI, or an address has been identified using an AI capability or machine learning capability using an output, we've seen a massive delivery performance improvement compared to a blind delivery where I have to guess the address or I have to call the customer on the way to achieve a successful delivery. So these are some of the KPIs that we're seeing on machine learning. In the interest of time, I will go very quickly to tell you about our customer journey. So these are some of the focus areas in the customer journey pillar that really everything that is part of this strategy when we look at improving our digital touch points, having a program that profile consumers, doing some intelligent predictions to improve their delivery experience, payment integrations as reverse logistics. So it's important for us to think of all of these problems and all of these improvements from an AI, from a data perspective, where we deploy data and historical data and prediction models to solve for these problems. So it's a different approach completely from the traditional way of innovating in this space. Another area for us, which is last mile transformation, again, we're trying to improve the courier or the driver journey by masking as much information from the courier or from the driver as possible and trying to take away from the decision-making process of a driver and trying to deploy machine learning algorithms to pinpoint locations, to navigate through addresses, to sort to proper locations. And this will augment the driver experience. We spoke about route optimization, time-bound deliveries. We're trying to predict the best time to deliver for a specific customer based on his profile, and deploying some microservices that would make our operations, our last mile operations, more resilient. And we have a lot of examples to that, which I cannot go through today. And obviously create last mile innovation products, like, for example, crowdsourcing our deliveries, crowdsourcing our pickup networks, using microservices architecture on the cloud for us to be able to increase our speed to market in these solutions. So practically, we're trying to Uberize our delivery and tap into an on-demand capacity to deliver more business and to meet the surge and the volatility in the e-commerce business. I think this sums up my presentation today. But very quickly on the cloud journey, we also have a migration program to the cloud. We've decommissioned 5 out of 6 of our data centers today, and 100% of our users on the digital workplace are moving to the cloud, and that's why we were able to decommission all of these data centers and free up our IT resources innovate for the organization. And one piece of advice, it's really about business value and use cases that will add value to the business. And then from there, you'll be able to identify opportunity to create your data lake and to deploy machine learning models to solve a business problem. So start with really analyzing your top 10 problems that will augment with a customer experience focus and operational efficiency focus. And from there, there are partners and solution architects that can help you solve these problems using data and machine learning. So this is it for me. Thank you very much for listening, and I hand over this back to Antonio, I guess.
Hi, Mohammed. Thank you so much. It's been very, very impressive. Even though I heard this already before, it's a very impressive story from a customer. I would like to highlight a couple of things from Mohammed's presentation. First one is focus on the business value. It was really clear how Aramex have used technology to address business challenges and actually have a competitive advantage versus other competitors. The use cases are all about how to optimize, how to create better experiences, many things in which you will actually add value automatically on top of what you do. So that was impressive. I would like to highlight the 450K prediction per day and the delay of 125 milliseconds. That was really amazing. And also to see, would love to see Mohammed the drones. So next time in Dubai, would love to show me the prototypes. So really impressive to see what Aramex, with the support of Inawisdom, their capabilities on data and machine learning, and our technologies have achieved. Very, very impressive. Very, very impressive.
Thank you.
So let me see, guys, if we have a few questions. Okay, we have a question here that says, what are the top challenges? And here, Neil and Mohammed, please feel free to also answer. What are the top challenges on how to top challenges actually customers are having when facing machine learning projects? So the thing I've seen from my side, talking to different industries, in a nutshell, are identifying the use cases. So making sure that the use cases are aligned with the KPIs of the company, which is what Aramex just shared with you guys. Having a strategy, so understanding, what you want to do with data, understanding what teams you need to have, and so forth and so on. Lack of skills and trust. So you need to make sure that you have the right skill. That's why many times partners like Inawisdom can be very, very important to actually increase the success of your projects, okay, and increase the skills that you might have or might not have, and also operationalizing the machine learning models. Oftentimes the models are created, but putting them into production are challenges. I don't know if Neil and Mohammed, you want to actually add on top of that.
Yeah, Antonio, as an organization, we've lived it all. I mean, in the last 5 years, I tell you, we've tried everything. We've tried doing it on premise. We've tried doing it with other platforms. And really, it's only when we selected the AWS platform, we've been able to successfully deliver this. Why? Because the ecosystem of AWS and the technology stack that AWS has by far more mature, and the capability around it, the ecosystem around the likes of Inawisdom and others, they understand this environment. And it's really about partnering up with the customer. Even if there's a capability issue, I think the partnership has to start by identifying and analyzing your top problems and identifying opportunities based on these challenges. So asking a business person or asking the business today to create use cases is not the right question. The first question is, what problems do you have? What challenges do you see in the industry? And from there you innovate. I think this would be key. And obviously having the right belief and the right mindset and the stamina and appetite to take risks and to be able to. So because data scientists and machine learning is not magic. It's you have to give it time. You have to give it. They're not magicians. So data scientists, really, we keep saying that they're not magicians. You have to try. You have to fail. You have to iterate and try new things. So So yeah, that would be my answer.
I think, and just Neil here, just one thing to add. I think, and I couldn't agree more. And I think speed to market, we said right at the beginning, is important. So I think as well as having that overall architectural view and strategic view of what you're trying to achieve, I think actually incrementally building out from those business problems, use cases, building out your data platform, not trying to create a monolithic data platform from day one, but actually focus on prioritizing those use cases, making sure you know how you're going to operationalize them, but also building out those data pipelines incrementally, I think is a great way to keep speed and agility and grow out where you need to go to and maintain that market differentiation. But yeah, absolutely, prioritize those use cases is a great thing.
Thank you, Neil. So we have a few more questions, but we are actually running out of time. And to be frank, I think that we focus on the most important part of the session today, which is how to get advantage of these technologies, partner support, on how to focus your strategy in terms of identify pain points and then the use cases around those and how to actually deliver results. And I think that is probably the most important question we had today. So I would like to thank everyone. So Aramex, Mohammed, Inawisdom with Neil and the team, and everyone attending the call today. I would like to remind everyone to stay connected and complete the brief survey that we're going to have at the end of the session. And we're really looking forward to actually supporting you in the future. If you have any questions regarding use cases, regarding how we can support you in Inawisdom, if you want to know more about Aramex, I really encourage you guys to actually follow up with us and ask us any question. We are here actually to support you and make the most out of your data. Thank you so much and have a nice day.